It's time now for the award-winning #1 local talk show in Northeast Pennsylvania, The Sam Lesante Show. Now here's your host, Sam Lesante.
Well, welcome to the Sam Lesante Show, folks. Thanks for joining us today. We're going to give you financial advice, and it's going to be good advice. We have a person here who is no stranger to our show. He's been on a number of times. He's been in this business over 35 years. We have some great things to tell you. Not from me, but from my guest, and his is Blaise Greco, who is from a financial advisor, Greco Brokerage. The phone number is on the screen, and his website's up there as well. I'm excited to hear about the show today, Blaise, because, you know, there's so much to be told in terms of investments and people who have worked all their lives and have money, but they don't know what to do with it, and they're always concerned about that. Recently, you had a seminar which was fantastic, okay? Give me a review of that seminar and what was discussed there.
Well, that seminar, I got into the room, a lot of people, and we were working a little bit of advanced markets. So we discussed life insurance for legacy plays and for advanced markets of how to pass on wealth. We also discussed annuities, which are extremely popular right now, which is going on in the stock market, and the MIGA annuities, which I'm going to talk about, multi-year guaranteed annuities, which are very similar to CDs. I'm going to try to keep this really simple for your listeners. We also had a long-term care gentleman there from Lincoln Financial, and it's a product called MoneyGuard. It's something I'm working with a lot. I talked about it on your show back a few years ago, and we talked about it, we're gonna do a whole show on MoneyGuard. I may even bring up a guy that was there. He was phenomenal. He's been in the industry 15 years with Lincoln. So that's a whole nother topic, but long-term care for people that want care at home, care in a nursing home, also when they're going to the home, like where they're getting, not the long-term care, but like where somebody's getting help. So these policies work for all that. So we'll have that another show.
I know we'll do a whole show on that, but who should be interested in those? I mean, what age group should be concerned about?
I asked him that, and he told me the market, right now the market's shown at like 58 years old. Of course, that's give or take. Because the policies are a little bit pricey, but when you look at what they do, and you pass on that liability to the insurance company, and if you don't use it, they have a death benefit. They also have a return of premium. So it's a whole show, but it's phenomenal. So, you know, that was the main things. And the last thing, I had elder law attorneys there.
Yes.
And just for the people out there, elder law attorneys, there's only 65 elder law attorneys in the state of Pennsylvania. It's a very hard certification to get. I was blessed to have 2 of these elder law attorneys at the seminar, and the people were overwhelmed. They got a lot of good information, and it was good. It was good. So that's a quick overview.
So, buy-sell agreements. How do we retain a business? And explain this a little for me.
Okay, so I have it on here. I want to talk about the buy-sell agreements because this enables an owner or owners to retain the business. And we've talked about this on your show. Reason I'm bringing it up, that was at the seminar. We brought somebody in professionally to talk about buy-sell agreements. And you know, there's so many of these companies that are out there, family-owned businesses and/or corporations, and if they don't have a buy-sell put in place, which is basically an agreement if somebody dies, and more importantly, they don't have it funded. And I've funded a lot of these from when I was young, my young days with Metropolitan Life, a lot of business guys in business, and I've done more and more now. Because the people, they're not educated on the buy-sell agreement, or if they are, they're like, yeah, I drug my feet on it. And it's important because if somebody dies, it takes out the life insurance is in place, takes out the partner, pays the wife, and you don't have somebody else in the business that doesn't belong. So there's not a whole lot I want to say other than that we discussed that, and that's, you know, it's something for, if there's business people listening, they should be thinking about.
Okay, so here's the thing. There are a lot of business people that are probably listening to the show or going through the channels or whatever, how big do I have to be to have a buy and sell agreement? if I have partners, or if I have, I mean, where do we, some people say, well, we're not big enough to have that. What would be your advice in, if I have a business?
Well, realistically, I would say $500,000. I mean, let's use an example and say Sam and I were out and we decided we're going to do wedding photography videos. I'm making this up. And
Which he does.
I know that. I know that. He does a great job. He's done it. He's helped me many a time.
Yeah.
But the point I'm making is, just let's say we build this business. Like, boy, we're doing pretty good here.
Yeah.
But I'm like, well, Sam does one part of the business. I do another, right? If I lose Sam, I'm in trouble. And if Sam loses me, he's in trouble. I'm doing a whole different thing. Maybe I'm doing the sales and marketing,
right.
and he's doing whatever. Yeah. So, let's say $500,000, $750,000. So we buy a $250,000 policy or $500,000 policy. Not only does the corporation need money to, replace Sam or replace me, but he's got to take care of Roseanne, or I got to take care of his wife. Yeah. So I don't think it has to be that we got to be talking about 5 million, 10 million. But on the other hand, when you're talking about a large company or two partners that have a $10 million company,
you have to have it.
You got to have it.
Yeah, there's no question about that. And that's the key. I think to me, there's no business large or small enough. If you have a partner, you should have a buy and sell agreement. I had it when I was in business with Johnny.
Absolutely.
So now we're talking about our age group coming into the legacy giving using a retirement and or 401k and IRA or other large assets. Here again, there's like so much confusion out there, and who do we listen to? I mean, like, that's what you hear. Okay, everybody has a story to tell, and so what's Blaise Greco's story? Now, I mentioned you got 35 years, so I think you know a little bit about what's going on. Okay, yeah.
Well, I'm glad you put it that way, because I've had to make some decisions, and I've contemplated getting into the money management business as well because of all the clients I have. But I've largely been focused, as you know. My expertise is on life insurance, annuities, cross purchase, all this stuff that's, you can't go to one guy and get this all done. I don't profess to be a stockbroker and say I know all about stocks. So the point is, when we're talking about legacy giving and planning, this is becoming so huge in people 60, 65, 70, 75, because you got people out there that, let's take an average person that just wants to take some money, put it aside, give it to their grandkids. There's ways, and I've explained this on the show before, where these policies could be set up with adult owners and adult beneficiaries, and passing the money on to their children and taking money out of their estate. There's trust that can be set up, which we discussed that at the seminar. But with this legacy planning, it's a great way to pass on money, and people just don't realize it. They don't realize how much life insurance could avoid the tax man, and wealthy people are doing this. The thing we're talking about here that I have about 401ks and IRAs, there's a lot of people I talk to that have a 401k or an IRA that they're not using. They don't need it. They got Social Security, they got other money. Now, we've taken a lot of those people and we've siphoned money off each year out of either the 401 or the IRA or some retirement that they don't need, and put it into a large life insurance policy, whether it's on their life, or I've talked on the show many times about second to die. We insure the husband and wife, the mortality costs are a little lower, and we pay kicks in on the second death. We've done that a lot where we've siphoned over some money. Now, if something happens while that money's going over, they've got their 401 in their retirement, plus the life insurance. But the life insurance is passing on tax-free. So legacy play is just a great place, a great thing, a great tool, another tool, especially what's going on with the potential for future taxes in the country. Life insurance has still been one of the things they haven't gotten their hands on. The internal buildup in the death benefits still gets passed on tax-free.
What point in investing, you have a senior, let's say you have someone who is 70, 72 years old, they have a retirement and they have the 401 IRA. How much of that money is it? Should you take 10%? You said you want to siphon 10%, 15, or 20%. How you do that, and where do you put it, and how does that benefit me? You may have said that, but just to make it clear.
Okay, so let's just use an example. Let's say that you had $150,000 sitting in an IRA account. I'm just making this up.
Sure.
I'm not using it.
Yeah.
So at your demise, it's going to be taxed to the children because it's 100% tax to you, it's tax to them, plus inheritance tax. So we decide, I'm just making this up.
Sure.
We're going to take $10,000 off a year for Sam. We're going to buy him, let's just say, a $300,000 life insurance policy. So each year we're siphoning off 10, putting it into the, because we don't want his tax, we don't want to be a tax burden to you either. We got to be careful how much, everybody's situation is different. But let's just hypothetically say we siphoned it off for 15 years, 10,000. We put 150 in. Now we have the ownership structure on that policy a little different, that it goes to the kids totally tax-free. So you had a vehicle over here that was 150,000 that not only was going to be taxed at the federal and at their margins, not yours, because they're younger, okay? And they're going to pay inheritance tax. So we just moved it over, we increased it. Now, of course, listen, the person in this particular case has to be healthy, but there's a lot of healthy people. We just seen a 75-year-old healthy man leave the building. You're a healthy guy.
Thank
at
God.
your age, God bless. And I mean, there's a lot of people that, I told you the story on one of the shows about the 81, 82-year-old guy that I told about buying life insurance. Mm-hmm. He said, you're nuts, I'm 82 years old. Well, he got a standard rating. And we used it in a situation like this, where he had these old bonds, we structured it to pass that on to his kids.
Yeah. And that's to see, the key here is Blaise, is as speak in lay terms, okay, so we can understand, all right, because there's so much out there, and then really the trust factor comes in, because that's where, you don't want to be a sales job. Oh, he's doing a sales job on you. Well, you have to explain it, but you don't want to run into that kind of situation where you feel you got someone who you can't trust.
I have so much of this stuff in place over the years with different people that you may know just from, obviously I don't talk about clients' names, but we've discussed this on the show. If people need for me to be validated, that's really easy. Yeah. I'm going to be able to validate people with people that they're going to know and they're going to respect and say, hey, if that's what they want. I'm going to have certain clients that say, it doesn't come up, but if it needs to come up or it does come up.
At one time on the show, you had testimonials from a number of people, well-known people.
Right.
And here again, for people who know you, they know what you're able to do. Folks, I'm talking to Blaise Greco, who is a financial advisor. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to the Sam Lesante Show, folks. We're talking about finances today, but first I want to thank you for making the Sam Lesante Show the #1 talk show in northeastern Pennsylvania. From our scientific poll, the Susquehanna poll and research, who have been voted the very top pollster in the state of Pennsylvania. We appreciate it. Blaise Greco, phone number is on the screen, my friends. I encourage you to, if you have questions, to call this number, 570-401-6008. And that's how you can get in touch with him. And his website's on the screen. Has been around for 35 years. Interesting information when it comes a time for you to invest. Now, some of the things here, annuities are going through the roof. Okay, give us a quick review on these annuities. What's going on?
Right. So a lot of the stuff that we're going over, you and I have gone over before. So I'm going to keep this simple because I want to largely spend the time talking about these MIGAs. It's been exploding. I mean, literally been busy with paperwork and.
MIGA, just so you know, is multi-year guaranteed annuities. So when he's mentioned MIGA, just so you know what it is. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and it closely parallels a CD.
Okay.
So that, like for your senior viewers, it's basically what it is. And I'm going to explain it in detail. But we've talked on the show, we've talked about FIAs, we've talked about MIGAs, we've talked about SPIAs, we've talked about variable. Real quick. So a FIA is a fixed indexed annuity. We've talked about this. It's tied to an index like an S&P 500, but it has a floor where it can't go below zero. So like where the stock market's going wild, the guy has 200,000, using that as an example, gets his statement next year. Maybe he didn't make no money, but he didn't lose none. So that's a FIA. You're picking indices, okay, and you're trying to achieve a better rate of return than you would in a MIGA in past years. Now these MIGA rates are up, so we're looking at the MIGAs because it's a no-brainer. So that's the FIA, okay? We're going to talk in depth about the MIGA. A SPIA, single premium immediate annuity, is nothing more than if a guy has a lump sum of money and he says, look, I want to give it to the insurance company, I want a check for the rest of my life, absolutely guaranteed. And so the SPIAs, they're here and there, but they're not the most popular, because you have guaranteed income riders that you could put on a regular annuity and still have access to all your money and use the guaranteed income rider. But in this market, with the interest rates going up, the SPIAs, we're getting some people that are saying, I want to buy a SPIA. It's like buying a pension. You give the insurance company the money and you can't outlive it. Then there's variable annuities, which I'm not into. That's largely the brokerage firm. They're loaded up with a lot of cost and fees, and they will fluctuate. So when you have a downturn in the market, if you have that same $200,000 that I talked about, what I do with the fees, you're going to see a decrease in your account. And then when the market comes, so I don't do that. Okay. So I mean that is and the other thing I want to mention, when getting back to fees, for full disclosure, I get paid from the insurance companies, and I never endorse an insurance company. You see the list. I gave you a list of all those companies. You recognize them. I write for hundreds of companies. Every day I look for the best rate, especially in the MIGAs. I'm out there like hunting for the best rate. So I won't endorse any one insurance company, but the point is I get paid by them, okay? The client has 100% of their money going to work. They do have surrender charges, so you don't go into one of these contracts knowing you're going to need your money next week.
Yeah.
But most people, they don't have a problem with that, because they're investing the money. Plus, most of the companies have a 10% withdrawal privilege. So somebody's investing $100,000, they could take out 10% a year as an example. Let's say 10,000, as long as they have that contract, whether it's a 5-year, 6-year, 7-year. 5 and 7-year are usually the sweet spots of what I market and find people have the interest in. Now we're getting some 10s because of these MIGA rates, which I'm going to talk about. And I want to just mention quick about the guaranteed income rider.
Yes.
So when you think of what's guaranteed to somebody, it is a pure pension and Social Security. So if we didn't work for a company where we have a defined benefit pension plan, the only other thing left is Social Security. I mean, Sam's guaranteed this check till he dies. So getting back to the annuities, the SPIA, which I mentioned, and a guaranteed income rider, which is hooked onto an annuity. So the cost for that might be like anywhere from 0.95 basis points to 1 to 1.25. But you're getting the buildup, like you're getting the return. So that comes off your return, but you're not buying it for return. You're buying it for income. So the guaranteed income rider, as an example, set up properly, could give you an income. You pass away, gives Debbie an income. If there's anything left in the account, could go to the kids. So they're popular. Guaranteed income riders in certain situations. We've discussed that before as well. So
getting to the point of the multi-year guaranteed annuities, okay? Mm-hmm. Your recommendations, your opinions, etc.
Well, what's happening in this market, I generally largely was in the FIA market, okay? So we saw this inflation, we saw the Fed raise rates. In turn, it's caused the annuities in the MIGA rates to go up. On $100,000, we have a 3-year rate 4.85, 4-year rate 5%, 5 years 5.35, 6 years 5.10, 7, 5.4, a 10-year rate at 5.15. Now, somebody might say, well, 5.15, 10 years. Well, if somebody has $1 million and I have clients put a lot of money in these annuities. You put that in, you're locked in for 10 years at 5.15. The economy comes back, the MIGA rates are going to go down. I mean, I've been on your show where they were 2.5, 3, yep. 3.25, 3.5, yep. 3.7, which is still.
These are the highest I've ever seen.
These are the highest I've seen in a long, long, long time, like 20 years plus. Yeah. So what I'm telling you, what's happening out there right now is we are being inundated with multi-year guaranteed annuities. And where are they coming from? They're coming from people's savings accounts because you can't get these rates in the bank. They're coming from people that are in the market, but they're a little leery on what's going on. They see the market going up, going down. So I'm not saying that generally people should take money and sell at a loss in the market, depending on their age. But some people are getting close to like where the market had a little trickle back a while, then now it's a little on the downs. People were getting close to being even, or where they felt like they had enough of their money back. And a lot of people said, you know what, I want to go with something like this. You know, I'm 65, I'm 70. I don't want to be worried about, you know, I'm 60, but I've always been very cautious. But I've jumped on all this because I figure, you know, 60, 10 more years, I'm 70. I want my money safe right now.
Yeah. And this is something that's guaranteed.
Absolutely guaranteed. Now, I will state, I want to get this out too, full disclosure. FDIC comes up all the time. No, it's not FDIC. It's not backed by the full faith of the federal government. These insurance companies are all huge. I don't write any, I won't endorse any companies. I'd love to rattle off a bunch of names because you'd be like, wow, they're good companies. Sammy, you see them.
I see them.
You see them. So
yeah,
you could attest with these. I only write A-rated companies. I won't write anybody substandard. Sometimes you could get better rates. Somebody may say, well, I have a guy could get me, you know, he could get me 6%. Yeah, but it might be with a B+++ carrier. I won't write that. So what I'm getting at is, yes, your money is secured by the full faith of the insurance company. Yeah. And listen, tell me the last company that you know that went broke. Yeah. The last insurance company. I mean, they get taken over all the time. I'll give you a good example. I wrote for a company, so I won't mention, but we'll mention it in this case, called Great American. Very good company out of Ohio, A-rated carrier. They were bought out by Mass Mutual. Now Mass Mutual's even a bigger. They're like maybe a A++. Okay, they're huge. So that's what happens, and nobody knows about it. I didn't even know about it. The client got a letter, said, "Hey, what am I getting this letter?" I said, "I don't know. Send me a copy. Let me see." Got a letter. Everything stays the same. Your contract stays the same.
Blaise Greco, he's a financial advisor. The number is 570-401-6008. There's a lot of questions you may have, and be more than happy to give him a call. You can reference the show, and you're there to explain the questions that they have. Because here again, some people may have some things going, but these are fabulous.
Sam,
deal.
one thing I do in my business, and I'm happy to do it. I have a lot of people walk through my door. It doesn't always necessarily mean that I make a sale or sell them. I help them. I had a lady come in last time I was in. Anyhow, she had a problem. I knew what I could tell by looking at it. She said, "Oh, I don't think." I said, "I think I could work this out for you." I didn't make 2 cents on the lid. She walked out of my place, you know, honestly, with tears in her eyes. I mean, I've been in this game a long time. I know stuff. People are like, "Oh, I'm so confused. I don't know." So like, they should come in and sit and have a consult with me. Yeah. And they're not. I don't hound anybody. Yeah. You know, I call a person 1-2 times. If they don't get back to me, and I just assume, hey, they're not interested.
Sometimes that's good, and sometimes it's bad, because sometimes people need to be coached.
Yeah, that's true.
And sometimes, you know, "Oh, I'm glad you called because I forgot about it," et cetera, et cetera.
Well, people procrastinate, not to interrupt you, including me, including everybody.
Yeah. And so therefore, when you call them, it reminds them. It's not being a pest, but you know, when you have a product, you know, we had it when I was in my business. When you have, it's like this business, you know, we know we do in production. I mean, no one can touch us in production, but yet, you know, you got to get out there and knock on the door, et cetera, et cetera. Yes. And our experience tells it. Well, wish you the best. Okay, it's always nice seeing you.
Pleasure.
Okay. Blaise Greco, Greco Brokerage. Phone number's on the screen. Website's on the screen. Just call them for information. Okay. We'll see you next time.